Hey, the evidence of philosophy, he's not going to give anything that strictly means it's going to be, for intelligent design, but he's going to use the evidence to say there's going to be a beginning, and then use that as springboard into philosophical or theological arguments for God, cosmological, all that crap. Let's see, but going through the evidence, red shifts, means the planets, way we measure how the planets move, microwave radiation background. There's probably more, but I haven't done much into cosmology. I think those are the two main bodies of evidence we have for the Big Bang. Unless you want to count like our experiments with particle accelerators and that, but
How did the universe begin? What is its source? Few questions have generated as much controversy through the centuries or inspired as many impassioned opinions. I interviewed William Lane Craig, a philosopher who was devoted.
Okay, before William Lane Craig starts to talk, I know he's a favorite of favorite person to parrot here on YouTube, so I'll make this quick. A man named Mark Smith went up, had him sign a page on his book, and a man named Kerry Cook testified that he signed it, in fact, under the under the statement that, he asked him, if you believe every word on this page, sign it. So he signed it, and that must mean that he still believed. But throughout the, and I'll get to that in a second, but throughout the conversation, they were talking about different stuff, and then after a little bit, Mark Smith asked him this question: Dear Craig, for the sake of argument, let's pretend that a time machine gets built. You and I hop in it and travel back to the day before Easter, 33 AD. We park it outside the tomb of Jesus. We wait. Easter morning rolls around and nothing happens. We continue to wait. After several weeks of waiting, still nothing happens. There is no resurrection. Jesus is quietly rotting away in the tomb. I wonder if someone's here. But he said, I asked him, given the scenario, would he then give up his Christianity, having seen with his own eyes that there was no resurrection of Jesus? Having been an eyewitness to the fact that Christianity has been based upon a fraud and a lie, would he now renounce Christianity? His answer was shocking and quite unexpected. He told me face to face that he would still believe in Jesus, he would still believe in the resurrection, and he would still remain a Christian. When asked in light of being a personal eyewitness to the fact that there was no resurrection, he replied that due to the witness of the Holy Spirit within him, he would assume a trick of some sort had been played on him while watching Jesus' tomb. The self-induced blindness astounded me. So pretty much no matter what you show this guy, because a voice in his head told him that Jesus got resurrected, that's the truth. That is cognitive dissonance to its highest degree. That is the same type of craziness that woman, I forget what they said, Andrea Yates, who drowned 5 of her kids because God told her to. Okay? And later on in the webpage, Freethinker Debate Strategy. Okay, in light of what Craig admits to here in his own damn book, as well as the thought experiment I put him through regarding the time machine. Okay, on the page, I'm not going to read the page and all the stuff that he wrote, but it's pretty clear that Craig, it says on the page, there is no need to quibble with Craig over minor petty details such as objective reality. Yeah. When he has already confessed in writing and signed his John Hancock to the fact that he doesn't believe in objective reality, Craig has all but publicly admitted that he's in favor of insanity as a life choice. Alright. Peace.
Devoted much of his career to the study of cosmology and the question of origins.
From ancient Greek materialism at the time of Plato and Aristotle up through 19th century idealism, the prevailing view was that the universe is eternal, that the universe never began to exist, that the universe as a whole is, as it were, a static, timeless entity.
This belief in an eternal, unchanging universe for centuries a pillar of Western cosmology, was unexpectedly challenged in 1915 by Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity. Einstein's equations implied a startling possibility. The cosmos was not static, but instead existed in a continual state of either contraction or expansion.
Einstein did not like the idea that the universe was dynamic at all. In fact, like almost all scientists at the time, in the early 20th century, he assumed the universe was static and eternal. What's interesting and ironic is that he thought he had made some kind of mistake in his equations for the general theory of relativity. But a few years after he developed the theory, a Belgian astronomer named Lemaitre developed a model based upon his equations, which again predicted that the universe is in a continual state of expansion.
In 1929, theoretical predictions were confirmed with empirical data. At the Mount Wilson Observatory overlooking Los Angeles, astronomer Edwin Hubble studied light from distant galaxies. Hubble determined that galaxies beyond our Milky Way were moving away from us at a speed proportional to their distance from the Earth. The more distant the galaxy, the faster it is receding. Hubble's landmark discovery led most astronomers and physicists, including Albert Einstein, to a similar conclusion. If the universe is continually expanding, then at earlier points in its history, it must have been smaller and denser.
I think a good way to visualize this is to imagine that the history of the universe has somehow been photographed and made into a movie that we could play on a projector. As the projector runs forward, we watch the universe as it continually expands. But if the projector were to be stopped and were switched into reverse to make the movie run backward, then instead of watching the galaxies move farther and farther apart from each other, we'd see them draw closer and closer together.
As you trace this expansion back in time, the universe grows denser and denser and denser until finally the entire known universe is contracted down to a state of infinite density, which marked the beginning of the universe. At this point, which cosmologists call the singularity, all matter and energy, physical space and time themselves came into being. This literally represents the origin of the universe from nothing. So the startling implication of Hubble's discovery was the temporal finitude of the universe, that the universe had an absolute beginning at some point in the finite past.